shaped it and how it's managed to stay so powerful for so long.
Yeah, and you're right to be fascinated. This isn't just some story about, drug trafficking, right? It's a complex web of personalities, power struggles, and a ruthlessness. I mean, it's really hard to fathom.
Yeah. I mean, where do we even begin with something like this? I guess let's start back in the 60s. I mean, back then, the Sinaloa cartel as we know it didn't even exist. There was this one guy, Pedro Aviles Perez. Now, he was already laying the groundwork for what would become one of the most powerful uh, criminal organizations in the world.
Yeah, what's interesting about Aviles Perez is that he wasn't just some small-time operator. I mean, this guy was one of the first to really grasp the potential of using aircraft for smuggling. And, his influence extended beyond his own operations. He was a mentor to a whole generation of traffickers, including someone you've probably heard of, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman.
El Chapo. I mean, come on. That name is practically synonymous with the cartel, but it sounds like Aviles Perez was the one who really uh, set the stage.
Yeah.
He was the one who showed everyone the potential of large-scale drug trafficking.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he wasn't the only one. There were others, like Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo, Rafael Caro Quintero,
Mm.
and Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo. I mean, all figures who learned from Aviles Perez. And then, they went on to play key roles in the cartel's development. It's like they were all, pieces of a puzzle that eventually fit together to form the Sinaloa cartel.
So by the 80s, things are really starting to take shape. Right? I noticed in the research that the Sinaloa cartel actually formed an alliance with the Juarez cartel early on. Was that common back then to see cartels working together? I mean, it seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah, it might seem counterintuitive, but alliances were and still are a key part of the cartel landscape. And in this case, the Sinaloa Juarez alliance, it gave them control of some very key smuggling routes, and it also allowed them to share resources and intelligence. So it was a strategic move that really solidified their power.
Okay, so speaking of strategy, the cartel's use of tunnels for smuggling, which they'd become notorious for, that also starts to kind of crop up around this time. It's like they were always a step ahead, constantly innovating.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about innovation, it was about adapting to the challenges that they were facing. As border security increased, they had to get creative. I mean, tunnels provided a discreet and efficient way to move their product.
It's almost like a game of chess, with the cartels and law enforcement constantly trying to outmaneuver each other.
Right. That's a great analogy. And just like in chess, sometimes